go to it.
Autism Monday.
Autism Mondays. We are going to do a Q&A again. I have done 2 previous videos. One with me ruining my wife's face with makeup. Yes, I did do a makeup challenge, and I did a husband tag as well. So if you want to be nosy, because there's lots of nosy people out there and know more about my life as an autistic man, and yes, my wife is real, she isn't the figment of my imagination, and yes, I did just draw her like a Neil Buchanan art attack. She is actually real. I think these questions are mostly for you, aren't they? So let's just get to it. Let's just see what the nosy buggers want to know about our life. Let's do it.
How did you feel when you were told that you had autism?
How did I feel? That's a good question. I actually felt really positive, actually, because no, that is the thing. Like, a lot of people think when you get autism, it's like an excuse, and it's like, oh great, I have an excuse to be an arsehole now and be rude to everybody. But for me, it was just kind of like, I struggle with certain things, and you now understand that I struggle with certain things, and I know this is what I've got to do to make it better. We had a big massive talk, and I basically had to sit there to Laura and say, right, I'm going to go to the doctors, I'm going to go see therapists, and I went through all the group sessions. It's not like a thing where you get a certificate. It's like, no, I've got an autism certificate in the back, like, oh my god, look, I am certified.
You did ask for a lanyard, so you didn't need to.
I did ask for a lanyard, because so if I've ever got in like really awkward situations, I'm like, oh, I have a lanyard, I'm autistic, you know, I have Aspergers. So yeah, I'd say it was a very, very positive thing. It was actually a thing, I actually felt really happy when I got it. Explained a lot of the things that I do, and it made Laura know that yes, I'm just not an absolute arsehole.
Yeah,
there
but
is
it
a
wasn't
reason.
just that, you got like coping mechanisms as well. It wasn't just like, you have autism, off you go.
And it showed my wife that I was willing to try, and I wasn't just sitting there going, right, this is the way I am, okay, this is what you married, okay, you did say like death do us part, okay, so death do us part.
The next question's a good one.
Fucking great, okay, you know.
What is your frog called?
What is my fucking hell, man? What's my fucking frog? Right, we have a frog. His name is Freddy. Freddy, basically, right, has a part in my garden. I have a frog that lives in my house, right? Laura,
not in the house.
Well, not in the house, right? You probably, to be fair, you probably would let him in the house.
I love him so much.
But we did find he had a wife, and then we found out he had a kid, and then kind of the kid died, and that well happened. Well, who's Freddy? So Freddy's still alive.
So yeah,
Freddy has little hiding places.
So there's 2 left, Freddy and his wife Frida. But you don't really see Frida much. She's a bit.
We just found out about Frida. Basically, we thought Freddy was a single man. He's just like you stay there, you stay behind that wall, okay?
And then we found a baby frog, but it was dead.
Yes, but that was pretty sad. So yes, we do have a frog. It's called Freddy, and yes, he does live in my garden, and I am not allowed to do certain things. Whatever Freddy is like, no, that Paul. That's what Freddy likes. It's like, no, don't move the tarpaulin, Paul, because that's what Freddy likes.
Yeah, he likes
Freddy
it dark.
Freddy likes it dark and he likes it damp. It's like, can we just stick him in the fridge or something, eh? Whatever. Right. Next one.
What do you do for date nights?
And date nights is probably spent.
Paul hates the cinema. He hates sitting in the seats because it's like you could be more comfortable at home. And then even the snacks are expensive. You just
damn straight. It's basically
he's a cheap ass.
Fucking tampy style game. So the pictures, right? The cinema.
The pictures is what Scottish people call the cinema. The pictures.
And interpreting for the Neds, Laura Third. This is, do you ever notice about women, right? This is what women do, right? And so it's like, you go, right, what about that? It's like, I would watch it, but it's not a Friday night film. It's kind of, it's like, yeah, you have to pick a film based on their emotions that day. It's like,
no, it's just I don't want a heavy film.
I want a heavy film. Like, oh my god, this film's so heavy. It's like, it's like, be like, I want a comedy. It's like, okay, what about that then? It's like, no, I don't want like a funny comedy. I can't maybe like a romantic comedy.
When me and Manson were speaking about, we walked past a building and it used to be a Blockbusters, and when me and Paul first went out, we would go and get snacks, and then we would go to Blockbusters, and you would pick one, and I would pick one, and I would have to watch his shitty one, and then he would have to watch my rom-com. That doesn't happen anymore with Netflix. We'll sit there.
It's too much choice now.
And I have to just watch what Paul wants to watch. How does autism affect your relationship?
Every day. Right, autism affects our relationship. Right, okay, so I have anger problems. Right, I have ADD, so I get distracted all the time, so you have to keep on telling me something a million times. When I'm in a routine, I get very focused on that routine and very fixed. So it's like if Laura then decides, right, okay, this has changed, I will like freak out, which then starts us arguing. And again, I'm very, very boring. That basically, autism's boring, boring as shit. This is like the golden thing. It's like, Paul, What did I just say there? You were speaking to...
No, it's worse when I go, Paul, were you listening? You go, yeah. And then I go, what did I just say then?
It's like Alba. It's like BBC Alba, no, like Gaelic. It's like that's all I hear. Hoven the hum the high, Haley, I'm the hoven the hoven the high, Dad, the hoven the high car, and the hoven the high went to church, and you and your dad and Haley went to church. No, Paul, like, we watched something about the church, and we're like, God, why you watch stuff about the church? I was like, this is why I picked Netflix,
I think the thing that affects our relationship most is that, like, I always feel like I come second to whatever you're, like, that focused on. Like, you love me, but I'm very much... like, you feel second.
And then the kids, you get, again, I don't have empathy, so when Laura's ill, and Laura's ill all the bloody time, I have fibromyalgia, oh my God, the world is a weight on my shoulders. I'm bored. Let's go to the next question. Cause
I am really sore sitting here, by the way. Right.
I can't even, I'm a bit sore, that's why. Maybe I've got fibromyalgia.
How do you think you'd function without each other? So well. I'd get everything done. My house would be clean. I would be lonely and unhappy. But my house would be clean.
Her house would be clean.
And quiet.
And my YouTube would be just a array with videos. I just do YouTube all the time.
You wouldn't wash though.
Albums, sort of. No, I probably wouldn't watch. Now, this is the thing that people don't realise.
He also doesn't eat all day.
I could genuinely go, wake up, if I'm interested in something, I could, like, say if I was doing a song, I could get up early, right, and I can get up early, 8 o'clock all the way to 9 at night. Laura comes in loads of times, and I don't know why, she hates this, but she'll be like,
I'm like why
Paul,
not switch the light on?
Like, Paul, why is the light not on? It's like, because I like the dark.
It's like literally a hermit, like off of a cartoon, like...
It's like, Paul, when's the last time you moved? I've not moved in like 3-4 hours.
I feel like if I went away for 2 weeks, that.
And sometimes I do. I need a bit of a hand, like not hand to wash. Not like Laura's like, oh my God, can you please catch me for that, please? And sometimes it's just like I don't really understand like when's too much is too much. So yes, I'd probably be a very productive, smelly, autistic man. A very hungry, smelly autistic man, but I would lose weight though. So I'd probably look fine. You'd be like,
I don't think that's how it works.
You'd be like, you smell, but you got a 6-pack. So it's like, oh my God, I don't know which one is actually better.
If you could change one thing about each other, what would it be? You're not allowed to say nothing. It's so hard to pick one thing that I would change.
Go ahead. How long is your list right now? So like, I mean, can't say that. That'd be quite rough. I've got to think about this.
I would say like probably time management.
Right, time management. Yes, I do have terrible time management.
But if we're speaking about overall, like one thing I could change, it'd be the whole that you would want to foster or adopt.
Yes,
so that's like.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm never.
Speaking personality.
That'd probably be a really good video. That'd be quite an interesting video on what would kind of stop my autism from me adopting, and why I don't think it'd be a very good idea for me to. Laura would love to adopt. I think anybody that knows me, you know that I'm not the guy to adopt. I'm not. Like, for me, it's just kind of like, you're not my kid. As brutal as it sounds, I'm very black and white. You're not my kid, you're not my problem. It's like, so if they do anything, they end up being like a murderer or something, it's like, it's not my genes, not my problem. Get out of my house. I'm really sorry, but at least I never hit you. This time.
Well, you have more children.
Right, well, we have more children. This is something I would say...
I don't know.
I would say I'm done. However, it's a thing...
Your third child is watching this.
Well, right. Here's the thing. We have 2 girls.
I desperately wanted you.
This mouse will say something else. We've got 2 children, 2 girls. I obviously make girls, so it's a thing where I don't want to have 3 girls because I already have Laura and 2 girls. I have 3 girls. Ralphie does not count as a boy because...
He does.
Well, kinda. But I just don't know. For me, it'd be a thing where when Genevieve, we like to have a big age gap. So maybe when Genevieve's 5, would maybe be a thing in 3 years' time. It'd maybe be a thing where we're like, that would be a decision. I think by that time, if we were ready, it would be a decision to go, right, we either go for another house or we have another kid. Is that the last one yet?
This is the last.
Yay! Am I going to like this?
I don't think it.
That's okay.
Have you ever considered divorce?
Have you ever considered divorce? Why, whoever said that, you are a fucking nosy. I have never, ever, once in my marriage, ever thought about divorce. Never thought about it, ever.
I just feel so bad even speaking about that.
Well, somebody did ask the question.
Well, yes, I did. But it was like spoken about, and it was because I felt like it wasn't any of those things, but it was the fact that you weren't really willing to change anything.
Was that before I got the diagnosis?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that was Madson's birthday.
What I would say is, it's very important as a husband, or again as a partner, if you need to go and get that diagnosis, because you got to think about it. If I never got that diagnosis, right? So basically at that moment in time, I was hardly speaking to Laura. We were kind of in separate rooms. I'd started a new job, right? So I just started at Top Styles. I was consumed with Top Styles. I was angry because like I just couldn't get to grips with it, and I wasn't where I wanted to be. I was getting really hard on myself. So I was part-time coming home, and Madison, it was only like 6 months, and I wouldn't even, Madison would be bouncing and I wouldn't even acknowledge her. I didn't want to see her, I didn't want to look at her, I wouldn't be speaking to Laura, I was angry all the time. And so imagine living with that person, you're going, so you don't really love me, you don't really love like our kid, you're not really giving a shit. And I don't really, I was in a bad place at that time.
I never knew that men could get postnatal, but I think that you 100% got postnatal after.
I think it was my autism, to be fair. I think it was me. I always struggle with emotions.
You didn't do it with Genevieve.
I don't know, maybe because I'd seen it though. I kind of seen it and I was like, I knew what to expect. But yeah, I wasn't a very nice person to be around. I was actually quite a horrible person. Again, I've never like laid my hands on Laura, I never would. But I could be quite a vicious person in terms of my mood. I can just be like, I won't speak to you and I'll just be like dead nippy and just like, that's kind of the way I am.
I think it's that I'd approached you a few times and you weren't willing to do anything or work on it, and so I kind of didn't feel like there was anything to work on. Like if I couldn't do it, so that was kind of it.
And all it took, and that's the thing, all it took was one conversation. Went out for a meal, and I was like, right, okay, I am going to go and see. But here's the thing, I'll tell you one thing right now. If I hadn't went to that doctor's appointment, I hadn't went to the therapy, we probably would have ended up divorced.
But you didn't go thinking you had autism. You went to say, I'm not coping well with life. I've got really bad anger issues. We thought that you needed anger management or something.
It's all about being able to look yourself in the mirror and listen to your partner. When your partner says, I'm struggling, I've gave it as much as I can. The problem is I never know when things are getting really bad. It's those social cue things. I never ever know. I just kind of go, oh, you had an argument, that's it. And then I live day to day. Yes, I was nearly divorced, and yes, I had everything that I have now that I'm very grateful for, but I don't show that very well. I don't really appreciate it, but I don't show I appreciate it. And it's all those things that I'm kind of glad that question came up, because it's one of the main things I do this channel for, is to let people know that it is tough, and if you're going through hard times, that's how you fix it. Because in the end, like me and Laura are like that, we're a team. I'm still like, I can still be like a lazy arsehole and still be like distracted and still go through the same issues, but again, I watch my anger. I don't hardly have many anger outbursts. A lot of people would go like, that's abuse.
Yeah, you do. You speak to me like so bad.
Yeah.
But I never, like I used to before your diagnosis, but after your diagnosis, that's the things that are better with having a diagnosis, is that I don't hold it against you. I don't think that you're a bad person. I just know that that's like a total meltdown at that time, and I don't even expect an apology, because it's like, I don't know, it's like Jekyll and Hyde, almost in a way. It's like, it's not you. I've
done a lot of autism videos, a lot of stuff about my diagnosis, about living with autism, lots of different scenarios, and just trying to help people. So again, it's really good to get real life stuff. It's not just like, I find a lot of autism videos just now are just kind of like, it's all the same hashed out stuff. Do you know what dyspraxia is? Do you know what Aspergers is? Yes, by the definition of this. No, let's do real hard stuff about what it's actually like. So, Autism Mondays, this has been the Q&A. I have been Paul, this has been Laura, and this has been
Autism Mondays.
You bet it is Autism Mondays, and I'll see you again next week.